This is piano, polyrhythms, and phasing. A polyrhythm is two rhythms at once, and the easiest way to do it is one rhythm with your left hand and one with the right. What I was just playing was what I call a 2-3 polyrhythm, meaning that the left hand does 2 while the right hand does 3. Here it is stripped down to one note per rhythm. Now, I'm going to cover all the permutations up through 5. But before I do that, I want to talk a little about phasing. Phasing is basically the same thing as polyrhythm in that you've got two rhythms at once, but instead of a whole number ratio, one is just going a little bit faster than the other. So here you're going like this. If the right hand speeds up a little, then the first thing that happens is this. The next thing that happens is this. Then it gets a little tricky, where the right is behind the left because it's about to catch up, and then it catches up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's do one each of those 4 things. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put it together. That is a 4-5 polyrhythm, meaning 4 with the left and 5 with the right. Now, how do you figure out how to play something like that? Well, one way is just to mess around and see if you get lucky and count it the right, or just do a phasing and gradually slow down one. But the sure way to do it is to map it. And here we got what I was just playing with a 5-4. You start out with the notes the same, then the notes do different things. At the end, they come back to being at the same time again. You can see that pattern with all of these. At some point, they come back to being the same again. And another thing you notice is that all polyrhythms are played the same forwards and backwards. So if you're struggling to figure out how to play the end of one, it's just the way it was at the beginning, backwards. Now I'm going to go through all of these so you can hear what they sound like. 5-4. 4-3. 3-2. And 5-3, which is kind of tricky. There's also one that is not on this chart, which is 5-2, and it sounds like this. I recommend when you're playing any of these to do it both ways. So 3-2, 2-3. Give both hands practice at playing both parts. Now, once you've got this, there are different things you can do to increase the difficulty. One of them is to go look up higher numbers, figure out the 6s, the 7s, and the 8s. I'm not going to do that. What you probably most want to do is not just play one finger per hand, but to play an actual melody. And while you start, you just work up. So let's go back to 3-2, which is the easiest. Start at one finger per hand, and then go 2 fingers on one of the hands. What you might notice is when there's an odd number, the 0 point alternates. If you've got even fingers and an odd number here, the 0 alternates between one and the other, and that's a trick you can use to figure out if you're playing it right, because it should alternate if the one's even and one's odd. So now add a second finger with the other hand. you can play with one hand. You can just count up with your fingers. So if you got 3 here and 2 here, you're going to go like this, and you're going to like this. You can work out exercises, you know, play things forwards and backwards, play things up and down, and eventually you work up to full-on improvising. If you ever get lost, just go back to 1 finger per hand and work up. Now, the next thing I want to cover is precision. As a beginner, when you play these things, you're going to get it sort of right, but you're not going to get it exactly right. And the way you can tell you're not getting exactly right usually is to focus on your odd numbered hands. So if you're playing 4/3, even I'm doing a little bit right here. My right hand is not exactly perfect. Your hands don't know they're playing a polyrhythm. Your hands should play with metronomic precision. So if you're playing a 4/3, the 3 should be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And in practice, it's gonna speed up or slow down a little bit. It's gonna be going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, just to try to make it fit with what your other hand is doing. One hand or the other is gonna probably be out of sync a little bit and not quite with metronomic precision to make it work until you get the rhythm exactly right in your head. And the best trick I found for improving the precision of your rhythm is to use wider motions, because it's easy to cheat with a finger. But if you're using a large motion with your arm, like turn into a wheel like this. The larger the motion, the more you tend to stay in rhythm. So the next thing I'm going to do is cover switching smoothly from one polyrhythm to another. And what I'm going to do is go down through all of these and back up. Actually, I'll do the faster one on the right and a slower one on the left. And rather than speak what I'm doing, I'm going to use subtitles. So here we go. Thanks for listening.